What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS 3 Raw TV. So, today we're going to talk about two different things. Now, I don't understand why people just want to argue. Like, I feel like they don't even understand what the fuck I'm talking about first to begin with. They didn't listen or they didn't read what the fuck I wrote. They did no research for themselves, but they want to argue. Like, they're hoping that I come back and then go back and forth with them, which I'm just not going to do. I just block them and go, fuck it, whatever. And I don't understand why so many times when I put something out, right, and it's based on experience, it's based on research, it's based on what I've known or what I've learned over the years, and then I put the information out and I get a lot of backlash for it. Now what happens is ultimately a year later, a year and a half later, sometimes not even a year later, stuff comes out, research, etc., data comes out to back up what I said, and very rarely does anybody go, Jerry, you know what, you were right. They don't give a fuck, right? They just think they go on about their next fucking thing. So I'm like, whatever. But I don't understand when I put stuff out why somebody just doesn't look at it and go, that's interesting. I don't know if that's true or not, so let me research it on my own and let me give this a shot so I can understand this instead of just going, no, he's fucking stupid. Like, they know only what they've been taught in schools and been brainwashed over the years into traditions, right? One of the things we're going to talk about today is milk, right? I've talked about milk before. The other thing is Monsanto's Roundup, the glyphosate. I think I'm saying that right now, glyphosate. So the thing that people have been brainwashed, we'll talk about milk first. The thing that people have been brainwashed into, milk, it does a body good. Got milk, 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 milk. When you're a little kid, milk, right? Here's the deal. What is milk? Let's take logic, because logic has gone out the fucking window in the last 10 years, 20, maybe in 20 years. Let's take it logically. We are in our mother's womb being fed through our umbilical cord from our mom, right? When we are born, we have no teeth, and our digestive system is not set up to digest food yet. First of all, we can't even chew the food to get it into our stomach, let alone digest it. So therefore, our mother produces milk and feeds us. Now, if our mother can't produce milk, they have a formula, right? As you start to, get teeth, you're able to eat foods, you go on to the solid foods or like the mushy foods, right? As you do that, your mother stops making milk. Why? Because there's no more need for it. So now there's just food. Eating those foods, they switch it to regular foods, that's it. Your mom no longer makes milk. So as humans, we go, interesting. No, well, why don't we just go take another animal's milk? What the fuck? The reason why that cow makes milk is because the baby cow that it had is supposed to drink it. Like, none of this shit is for adult species of anything. It's all for little babies who have not grown to the point where the digestive systems can function yet. But instead, like the humans that we are, we can do whatever the fuck we want, right? We're the top of the food chain. We can fucking take a cow, impregnate it, and get all the milk we want and fucking drink it all day long, right? But we can also drink out of a toilet bowl, but we don't do that, right? But I'm saying we can do things, so we do them. Doesn't mean that we should do them. Well, I had stated before that, we should not be drinking another animal's milk like that as adults, period. Plain and simple. That's all there is to it. Now, the pasteurization process, etc., like, it's not even the pure milk that we would need as an infant to begin with. It's something completely different. It's all fucked up. And there's plenty of links. The information is out there between milk, actual milk proteins, and cancer. It's undeniable. The data is tons of fucking data. But nobody wants to look at it because they want to drink their milk. And I understand, like, you like milk, fine. So they came out with a study today. Well, it was a meta-study, I think. And it said, it's a big article about this stuff. And it says, over the past several decades, cow's milk and its byproducts have come to be seen as an essential part of the diet of most Americans. Milk and milk products such as cheese, yogurt, ice cream, whey, kefir, and butter have been effectively promoted by the United Marketing Plan with a budget of excess of $165 million a year. But this promotion hasn't been all about advertising. Federal laws mandate that all schools will provide children with milk at each meal or face the loss of federal funds. Now get this. I think the kids should actually be drinking water. If they're eating food that's nutritionally sound, they don't need milk. They don't have to have milk. So are you making them drink milk because the food sucks in the school? Like, nutritionally, it's barely fucking be able to be considered food? Is that why? Like, you're trying to get some nutrition in them? Because the food fucking sucks. But anyways. So it says, those responsible for this mandate have chosen to ignore the fact that up to 90% of African Americans, 70% of Asian, and 15% of Caucasian children are unable to digest sugar, lactose, and milk. Despite this, other controversies regarding health consequences, dairy consumption has steadily climbed since 1980. Half of all dairy consumption comes in the form of cheese, a super concentrated form of health-compromising saturated fat and salt. Of all the animals on the planet, probably the only creatures who routinely consume the milk products of other species are us. What has been assumed to be beneficial practice is in fact more than merely questionable. The scientific evidence suggests that the consequences of this practice are devastating. Drinking milk, that's what they're talking about. It appears likely that no other component in the modern diet causes more pain, suffering, including premature death and disability, than dairy products. The compelling scientific evidence that our consumption of dairy products is strongly associated with the following conditions. 1, childhood childhood onset type 1 diabetes. Children with diabetes. Interesting, because that lactose does react with your insulin in your pancreas a little bit different. And now, a matter of fact, they tell diabetics now when they're having a diabetic crash or a blood sugar crash to drink milk because the lactose brings your blood sugar up faster. It's not even juice anymore. It's not even table sugar. It's lactose. They want you to drink milk. My father was diabetic and was insulin dependent. They told him to drink milk, not these other things, because that changes your blood sugar, raises your blood sugar so fast. Well, if you don't have diabetes and you're drinking that, it's pushing your blood sugar so fast, your pancreas is having to work overtime. It's just simple fucking logic. But again, logic has been out of the fucking, it's been out the pasture for a long time. No pun intended with the pasture and the cows and shit. Number 2 is constipation. Number 3 is ear infections. Number 4 is sinus congestion and rhinitis. I think that's the sinus problems. Number 5 is skin problems, including rashes, dermatitis, eczema, hives, and acne. Number 6 is asthma. Get this, a lot of kids or a lot of teenagers drink a lot of milk, a lot of acne, right? And some say, oh, well, it's during puberty and the hormones. Yeah, but these people that take extra hormones like bodybuilders later on don't get the acne that they had when they were kids. If it was genetically prone due to hormones, when they took those steroids, they get the same type of acne, and they don't. So therefore, it's not the hormones, it's something else. Asthma is one of the problems with consuming milk over time. Digestive disturbance, including irritable bowel syndrome and Crohn's disease, arthritis and joint pain, cancer, lymphoma and leukemia, 10, obesity. Now, they go through everything in here. Like the problems with milk are numerous. All dairy products, especially low-fat and non-dairy products, contain abundant quantities of milk proteins. Milk proteins are the most commonly implicated causal factor promoting the disease listed above. Bacterial contamination. The FDA, the recall by the FDA with bacteria such as salmonella, like that very rarely happens anymore. Biological concentration of toxins, hormones that are added to the milk, antibiotics that are given to the cows that wind up in the milk, gut leakage. Dairy proteins appear to be particularly well suited to stimulate inappropriate immunological reactions when they are absorbed through the inflamed intestinal mucosa. There's some fucking big words over here that I'm that I'm kind of trying to skip over. It's like the technical terms like mucosa and stuff like that. It says gut leakage in vulnerable patients, a variety of inflammatory responses are aggravated and will be associated with many other diseases in the processes listed above. Environmental, the process of raising dairy cattle for milk and meat is a major use of fresh water and a leading contributor to both water and air pollution. Like, I don't even know what that fucking has to do with the kids, whatever. But moral and ethical, of course, that's like vegans and stuff like that. But they talk about, these different ailments that milk causes, and they know for a fact that milk causes these ailments. And this is being reported now. Like they're out there talking about it all over the place now, but a lot of people don't want to believe it. And I'm just like, you know what? This is what I said. This is what I got from my research. And now we're having places like this. Was actually reported, and you don't see many of the mainstream media reporting it, right? You see them reporting everything else. There's 5 deaths from vaping, and that's all over the fucking media. There are people every year that they can trace back the cancers they have to milk products. You don't hear a fucking word about it. Very strange that 5 people would die and they lose their fucking mind. But let's say it was just 100 people a year that died of milk products. That's 100 to 5, and you're not making a fucking big deal about it? You're not saying anything about it? What the fuck? Another one of those things that I talked about before, which this was something that I had suspected and I pieced together myself, but now it's actually been proven by doctors and scientists alike. Study blames Roundup herbicide for gluten intolerance and celiac disease epidemic. Now, lately we've been seeing all this stuff about cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and stuff like that. This one plainly says exactly what I said. And there was nothing like this out when I said it. When I said it, I said the gluten intolerance symptoms, when I overlapped the symptoms from glyphosate poisoning with those symptoms of the celiac disease, the gluten intolerance, they matched perfectly. So I'm like, there's got to be something to this. And I was kind of piecing together, like, if these are the foods that people are eating, they can easily say, oh, no, I'm gluten intolerant, but you're not. You don't have celiac disease, right? So is it gluten sensitive? That became the new thing. You're gluten sensitive. That's not what it is. It's the glyphosate that's in the food. So it said celiac disease and more generally gluten intolerance is a wide growing problem worldwide, especially in North America and Europe, where an estimated 5% of the population now suffers from it. Here we propose that glyphosate, the active ingredient in herbicide Roundup, is the most important causal factor in this epidemic in the meta-analysis of nearly 300 studies. So they looked at 300 studies. Think about how many people are involved with that, right? And that meta-analysis looked at everything in those 300 studies and all those people. The one common factor that they found, the one link, was glyphosate. That was the only link that pieced them together. The study published in the Journal of Interdisciplinary Toxicology in 2013 was completely ignored by the media except for Mother Earth News and the Healthy Home Economist. Now glyphosate is getting the attention it deserves, being named the culprit for a $280 million cancer lawsuit and labeled as a carcinogen by the World Health Organization and the state of California. It may be time to look at the chemical's role in the related disease. The symptoms of so-called gluten intolerance and celiac disease are shockingly similar to the symptoms in lab animals exposed to glyphosate. They talk about the EPA and the pollution and all the kinds of different stuff besides that, but they're talking about those things didn't affect people like the glyphosate did. So it's not environmental to have any symptoms that look like they're, celiac. That's not what's happening. It's the glyphosate. They point to a recent study on how glyphosate affects the digestive system. It decreased digestive enzymes and bacteria, disrupted mucosal folds, destroyed microvilli, structure in the intestinal wall, and increased secretion of mucin. What? All of those things, that's what the glyphosate does. That's exactly what I said, and there was no meta-study that was out back then. I didn't see any of this shit. This thing was done in 2013. There's nothing about this anywhere. I searched high and low. I used even things other than Google search engine wise, because a lot of times, you guys don't know this, if you look for something on Google, it may not be there. You look at another search engine, you find it. Why? Because Google omits certain things because they don't want you to find it. I don't know if they're getting paid for it. I don't know if they're part of a bigger agenda, but you can Google certain things that won't pop up. You go to Bing or web crawler or something like that, and you can find the stuff that's on Google, but you also find other things that's not on Google, which is really fucked up. So they talk about the features are highly reminiscent of celiac disease. Additionally, the number of people diagnosed with gluten intolerance and celiac disease has risen in tandem with the increased use of glyphosate in agriculture, especially with the recent practice of drenching grains in the herbicide right before harvest, which started in the 1980s and became routine in the 1990s. While some suggest the recent surge in celiac disease is simply due to better diagnostic tools, I hate that shit when they say this stuff. Oh, we can just diagnose it. That means that all while we were growing up, people were eating these fucking foods that were making them sick, right? And they had no clue what the fuck was wrong with them. They didn't even know what the fuck, but they just stayed sick, right? No, it didn't fucking happen. They weren't having the symptoms. That's why, whatever. 2009, researchers looked for gluten antibodies in frozen immune serum obtained between 1948 and 1954 for gluten antibodies and compared them with the samples from people today. They found a 4-fold increase in the incidence of celiac disease in the younger generation. Any further evidence, the researchers make the following points. Celiac disease is associated with imbalances in gut bacteria that can be fully explained by the known effects of glyphosate on the gut bacteria. Celiac disease is associated with impairment of cytochrome P450 enzymes. Glyphosate is known to inhibit cytochrome P450 enzymes. Deficiencies in iron, cobalt, molybdenum, copper, and other rare metals associated with celiac disease can be attributed to glyphosate's strong ability to chelate these elements. Deficiency in tryptophan, tyrosine, methionine, Selimethionine associated with celiac disease match the glyphosate's known depletion of these amino acids. Celiac disease patients also have known increased risk for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is also implicated in glyphosate exposure. Now, I don't need to go on anymore about this. This shit is real, guys. Whether you believe it or not, the thing is, we're in the information age now. We're in a point right now where we can get information out very quickly, and it's very hard to stop. I mean, things can get deleted and things can get shut down, but all it takes is one more person to put it up in a forum somewhere. One more person to put it here, and it winds up in a search engine somewhere, or winds up getting shared from other people in those forums and stuff, and they can't get away from it. So, like, back when I was a kid, they could pull the wool over your eyes, and you'd have no clue what the fuck was going on. But nowadays, it's not like that. We can get the information. And the more that they come up with these meta-studies where they're going back and actually looking at the studies that already took place, not starting new studies, now what they can do is say, okay, we looked at all these studies for the glyphosate, we looked at all these studies for the milk, we can say, all right, this is the contributing factor here and here. Now, let's isolate those factors and let's take those to human trials. I don't even know if they can do human trials because this stuff is just fucking killing people and making them sick. So I don't even think with good conscience and good practices that it would be legal to do these studies on humans, which would give these companies like Monsanto's, who makes Roundup, another way to say, well, there's never been a study that says it was ever done anything bad to humans. Well, because it's fucking immoral. They can't do that study because they fuck somebody up with it. They're going to go to fucking jail. They know for a fact it's a carcinogen. They're going to fucking get that shit shut down fucking immediately. You can't fucking do studies and shit or experiments on humans. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be an experiment on fucking humans when you know the shit's already fucked up. So I'm like, you got to be shitting me. Like, over time, you know, this is another one of those things like the BCAAs, like the essential amino acids, like the keto diets, mono and polyunsaturated, higher protein, stuff like that, collagen, all the things that I talked about before that people made fun of me for, ridiculed me, fucking busted my balls. And when it came to fruition that this stuff was true, there's fucking crickets. There's not a single fucking person saying, Jerry, you're right. Oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Fuck that. They just go about their day and fucking act like nothing ever happened. But the thing is, I feel like it's more important to get this shit out. It's interesting to me. You may not give a fuck. If you don't watch it. Don't follow it. Don't research it. I don't give a fuck. But there's a lot of people out there, and I talk to them on a daily fucking basis that want to know this information. They're curious. At the very least, they're curious. But they want to make sure that they're doing the best things for themselves, and especially their fucking kids. Because nobody wants to, I mean, people go, I smoke, if I fucking die, whatever. But my kid, I don't want him to die from secondhand smoke. A lot of people care more about the kids than they care about themselves. So they're more into this to make sure that they're giving their kids the best chance to being healthy in the future, not being fucked up. But you still get the resistance from those fucking clowns who think it's funny. I drink milk every day. I'm looking at this dude. He's fucking swollen. He's fat. He fucking looks like shit. He's going bald. And I'm like, dude, you look like a fucking train wreck. There isn't a single thing that, and now granted, there's other factors going to these motherfuckers. But the bottom line is, that's the type of person. The type of person that likes to make fun of shit like this doesn't take care of themselves to begin with. Doesn't understand what the fuck is going on with food and themselves to begin with. But they want to come on there and make fun of it. Try to get take a couple digs in if they can and make fun of other people. Like there was one person talking on the post about, oh yeah, so many fucking stupid people calling us sheep, and I'm like, you don't even understand what the fuck you're talking about. The fact that you don't understand that why you're being called sheep is why you're a fucking sheep. Like you just know that you're being called a sheep instead of being like, why the fuck calling me a sheep? Let me look into this, make sure that fucking I'm not just being led by my fucking face by random people that don't give a fuck about me, and do my own due diligence to be a person and not a fucking sheep. Then you'll fucking understand. But when you're out there making fun of it, thinking it's funny, I drink milk every day, I'm fine. You look like you're gonna fucking die any day, literally. Now, granted, again, other health things come into play of their lifestyles and shit like that, but that's the type of people they are. They don't give a fuck about their health. They don't give a fuck about how they look. They don't give a fuck about any of that stuff. And then you say something about milk, they make fun of it. It's like, well, you don't give a shit about all this other stuff. Of course you don't give a shit about that. But some people do. So if the people that do, we're not sitting here want to be ridiculed. We're not sitting here want to be made fun of. Like, we're sitting here trying to fucking help ourselves and everybody else that we can. And you get these fucking clowns that just sit around and make fun of people. I'm like, so I don't even deal with it anymore. I just block them because you know what? Here's the thing. You can't fix stupid, right? You just can't. People that are fucking stupid will never see the fucking light. People that are sheep may wake up one day and not be sheep, and that's good because right now there's going to be a seed planted in their brain from both the things I'm talking about right here. And eventually that seed's going to grow and blossom into something where they can understand it. But at this point, guys, there's no fucking denying the shit that's going on. Milk, Monsanto's Roundup, other shit that's out there that fucking we literally have been force-fed our entire fucking lives, being told everything is safe and fine. In reality, many of the things are not safe. They're not fine. They're causing issues. But you're not going to see that stuff on mainstream media. You're not going to find that stuff on Google. If you do find it on Google, it's 10 pages deep because they fucking bury it so you can't find it. So please, guys, do your due diligence. Go out there and do your own research. Don't stop digging until you find something that counteracts what you've already fucking been hearing over and over again about how everything is safe. Everything is dangerous. Everything is safe. Everything has to be used the right way. Now, anything out there says, well, this is perfectly safe, that's perfectly safe, that's bullshit. You need to look into that shit because it's a lie that anything is perfectly safe. Even too much water can kill you. You drink 4 gallons of water an hour, you're fucking dead. So even something as simple as water can kill you and not be safe. But they're trying to make you believe that fucking Roundup, which is a chemical, is safe. Drinking fucking random pasteurized, fucking heated up, fucked up, denatured fucking milk is okay to fucking drink. Like, what the fuck? Just do your due diligence, guys. BusterTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. BusterTraining.com is the blog. This is Do the Due Diligence Bicep, and we are out.